You may have seen the headlines. The state of Texas is projecting a budget shortfall of nearly $27 billion in 2011. That's the dollars and cents impact of the recession on the state, as sales tax collections have declined and property values have decreased all across the state. Additionally, federal stimulus funds were used last session, and those won't be seen again. Because lawmakers aren't expected to raise tax rates in the coming legislative session, it appears that massive budget cuts will be required to balance the state budget. And that means funding reductions for education, since public schools account for 44% of the state's spending each year. Like other school districts, SAISD is preparing for the budget shortfall by looking for ways to make significant cost cuts. Why are cost cuts necessary so soon after voters approved a bond issue? The answer has to do with how public schools are funded. There are two basic sources of revenue: operating funds and capital funds. First, almost all operating funds come from state and local tax revenues. Operating funds pay for the day-to-day expenses of running the school system, like salaries, supplies, transportation, and utilities. 66% of our total budget is what would be affected by the pending state cuts. Second, school districts typically borrow the funds they use for long-term capital projects. By law, these bond funds cannot be used to pay for daily operating expenses or salaries. They are kept in a separate account and are audited regularly to ensure that the money is being spent on renovations or construction projects. Now, in the long term, the bond will help us with operating expenses. We will update our schools and consolidate 5 campuses, which will greatly reduce our costs. But as we won't be consolidating schools until we complete renovations on the receiving schools, we won't see the cost-saving benefits for at least 3 years. So, today, SAISD faces a situation similar to that of any family who experiences a sudden drop in everyday income. For example, let's look at a household that, say, has regular monthly expenses totaling $1,800 a month for the house payment, utilities, food, clothing, entertainment, savings, and so on. Their paycheck provides for $2,000 a month. But their house needs some major repairs. The roof needs to be replaced. The furnace goes out. So they go to the bank to take out a loan to cover this major expense. Then they get the news about salary cuts, that their take-home pay has just been reduced by $400 a month. They know they can't use the money from the loan for the budget gap because those funds are already committed to the furnace and roof by the terms of the loan. And while the repairs will ultimately help reduce utility costs, they won't see an immediate savings that will help with the $400 a month loss. So they have to look for ways to cut expenses instead. Rather than spending $2,000 per month, they have to start living on $1,600. That means looking at a variety of different options, such as cutting out cable TV, taking the bus, going out less often, reducing utility costs, or getting rid of a cell phone. When SAISD looks at its budget, here's how the operating expenses break out. Payroll expenses account for 86 cents of every dollar we spend. Non-administrative staff salaries make up most of the payroll budget. Contracted services represent about 7.5 cents of each dollar. Supplies and materials, 3.5 cents, and other operating costs, the remaining 2 or 3 cents. Over the past 4 years, the district has already cut about $38 million from our budget, but we now face the prospect of making still deeper cuts, totaling anywhere from $30 to $50 million. At present, the district is doing a detailed analysis of where we could make expense cuts and gain new efficiencies, also seeking ideas and input from our employees and the community. In addition, we will continue to monitor progress on the state appropriations bill throughout the coming months to determine its impact on the district. As we learn more, we will present various budget options to our Board of Trustees for their review and approval. In the meantime, we welcome your questions as we make every effort to keep you informed about the difficult budget choices facing school districts today.